a lot about in this, this time of year, this seasonal time of year. Um, it's very stressful for a lot of people. This isn't always, the bliss time that we're kind of conditioned to think that it is for a lot of people. It can be filled with a lot of pressure. It can be filled with a lot of stress. It can be filled with a lot of overpacking schedules. Um, so I don't know what you're all having in store this week, but if it includes seeing family or friends that you haven't seen in a while, blessings on that. But also know that this is also a time that we often tend to gather with people that maybe we've got some history with, or maybe we have varying opinions around things with. And this year has just, the last couple of years have been so intense in the cultivation of opposition instead of the cultivation of harmony and coming together. So this might be heightened in your holiday reverie. So if that is the case for you, if you know you're going to be getting into some conversations that might be challenging because you disagree with the person that you're with, maybe you can take your yoga practice for a ride to Thanksgiving dinner, and have this capacity that we're always cultivating in our practice of not only being present for what's happening within yourself, but that capacity to stretch out the pause between having a moment where something arises within you and then your reaction to it. If we can stretch that space out and have that long pause, chances are our higher selves will come online in that gap to help us venture into a conversation with a little bit more centeredness and a little bit more compassion, a little bit more open-mindedness. So, you know how when you come across a baby, most babies, not all babies, but you're kind of walking through the street or you're at the food store and you're checking out in line and there's a baby and the parent is very busy doing their thing. And you have a little moment with a little baby and all you have to do is smile and the babies usually just light up, right? There's this sense of, oh, you're friendly and I can relate and I can connect with you. And some babies, like they're shy and they'll hide away. But a lot of times it is remarkable to me how you are given the benefit of the doubt immediately, as long as you offer a sense of openness and grace and love and friendliness to this young child. So maybe we can all be a little bit more like that, where we can really see the people who are before us this week, whether it's someone that we don't know that we're engaging with at a store or something like that, or someone we know very well. If we can just give them the benefit of the doubt and try to open our hearts to connection instead of to the ways in which we view life differently. So how does that show up for you? Where's your reactions? Start to get to know yourself so that you know your triggers of what makes you react, so that you have at the ready some breath to help you stay in that calm place. So let's start with a little breath. So let's close your eyes and take a moment to drop down. Here you are in your practice. This is a gift of time and space to be present with yourself. So let's drop into the beauty of that space. Drop some weight down into your pelvis and feel that deep grounding that can come from the connection you feel to the earth. Assess whether your seat is comfortable. Do you need to be a little higher up on something? Is your spine at ease? As you settle into your seat, let your eyes rest behind their closed lids. See if you can soften your shoulders. The weight of the world, let it just kind of slough off your shoulders. All the lines of expression in your face, see if you can come into that blank slate where anything is possible. that a smile is just as likely to erupt, maybe more likely to erupt than consternation. So let's ease all the muscles around your eyes, through your jaw, through your tongue. Check in with your palms and let them soften. There's nothing to do right now, there's only being. And begin to focus on your breath. See if you can notice if just the simplicity of closing your eyes and resting just a bit changed. Are you a little more grounded in your breathing? Does your breath feel choppy or smooth? Is one side of the breath emphasized, your inhale or your exhale? Do you have a sense of holding back the exhale or holding the inhale? Where is the breath arising from in your body? What moves the most as you breathe? Let's notice the base of the skull and the neck. See if you can ease the tension there. Let your breath travel a little lower. See if you can, you don't have to force, but sense that your belly can expand. Really, your 360, not just the front of your belly, but your torso can open. In the lower ribs, you can pour the breath into the lower ribs, lower lungs. We're going to do some breath work later on in class where we kind of work with that stretched out long exhale. So just have a couple of moments to be aware of your exhales. Your exhales is where your parasympathetic nervous system rises. This is where we learn to rest and digest. This is where we have repair and renewal. This is that gap that we want to kind of stretch out just a little bit to help us stay calm so that we have time to contemplate our thoughts, our reactions, our emotions before responding. Start to get to notice the difference between reacting and responding. Let's place the hands together at the heart and offer an intention for yourself. What do you need today? And then let's go ahead and release the hands and come down onto your back. So as you get there, I heard this not too long ago that in some traditional native cultures of this country, it's customary that when one is having a conversation to hear what another person has to say. So while you're there, start to stretch your arms overhead and reach one side a little longer and then the other, just awakening the body. So it's customary to listen completely without interrupting. And then when the person is done speaking, these cultures have a 5-minute pause before roughly. I don't know if it's exactly that, but I've been told a 5-minute pause before the other person speaks. Can you imagine if we gave even a fraction of that silence into conversations? So let the silence that you cultivate in your yoga practice allow you to start feeling really comfortable with taking the pause before responding. Okay, let's start stretching your limbs wider out, all limbs like a star, sea star. Find the breath, wiggle your fingers and your toes, roll your wrists and your ankles. Okay, and then bring your knees into your chest and rock around a little bit, just swaying from side to side. See if you can find that sense of ease where the body can soften as you rock. All right, and then right knee into the chest, left leg long on the floor, and just enjoy the sensations that you're feeling in your body. Good squeeze in the hip and knee. Feel free to roll your ankles and toes around. Feel the elongation of your spine and the deep rest of your head on the floor. Okay, switch sides when you're ready. Left knee in, right leg long on the floor. Feel some movement through your feet. Wiggling your fingers and toes. Well, fingers not so much, but toes. Maybe rolling your ankles in a few different directions. Inversion, eversion, some rotation. And then both knees into the chest. Rock a little bit again. Let's start to move the spine a little bit more. So stretch your limbs out wide like a sea star. Open your body up. Exhale, knees into your chest. Head up this time. Give a good squeeze to the midline. And one more time. Expand open. Exhale. Draw it in. Relax your head on the floor, roll over onto your side, and come up onto your hands and your knees. All right, so let's start moving through some cat-cows, feeling the sense of arching the back and rounding the spine, taking your time to really enjoy. So there's no rush, there's nowhere to go, there's no expectations, there's no goals, there's just the experience of moving your spine and breathing. So enjoy how it feels. Get to know how it feels. You know, is there any part of your body that needs a little extra care today? Befriend yourself. Be kind. All right, so let's start to move this pose around any way we want. So you can swirl around in your shoulders. You can do some circles in your hips or wag your tail or move your head or all of the above. Just see what kind of playful, easy, free movement arises. And offer your body down into child's pose. So sit bones high and wide, drop down toward your heels, compress your hips, compress your knees, and walk the hands to a comfortable place out in front of you. Relax your forehead toward the floor or onto the floor, and just check in. Is any joint space needing a different vector of movement? So adjust anything, create a little more space anywhere that's talking to you. And then find your breath here. See what it feels like to open the back, body breath. All right, let's walk the hands over to the left side of your mat. Find the deep reach of your body. Drop your hips down a bit toward your heels again. And open the rib cage. And not just the rib cage. See if you can feel the stretch from your hand down through your wrist, your arm into your shoulder, your ribs, your sideways, all the way to the sit bone. Touch the breath to the inner walls of your rib cage. And walk the hands over to the other side and enjoy all the space you can create here. Fingers all the way to your sit bones. Feel into that reach. Relax your neck. Let the breath massage the inner rib cage. See if you can really touch up against the inner ribs with your lungs. Come back onto all fours. One more time, move your spine however you want to move your spine. Loosen things up, and then a twist. Reach your right arm up in the air. Exhale and slide your right arm down toward the floor, dropping your shoulder toward the ground. So threading the needle, taking your arm through. Notice if your hips kind of walked over to the left. See if you can take your femur bones straight back toward your feet. Relax your neck. Soften the base of your skull. And now let your breath touch the back ribs. See what kind of sensation you can have in the back lungs. All right, and then inhale, reach that arm all the way up to the sky. Place the hand down onto the ground and change sides. Arm lifting, and then slide that shoulder underneath. Gaze toward the floor with your eyes, gentle through your skull, nice and easy through the base of your skull. And see what the breath feels like as it touches through the backside of your body. Enjoy the feeling of a little bit of twisting in your spine. How does the side feel compared to the other? And inhale, lift that arm all the way up to the sky, place the hand down onto the ground and find dog pose. So as you come into this posture, feel free to feel any movement that wants to naturally come. So you can pick up one foot and place it back down. You can pedal your feet where you're dropping one heel and lifting the other. You can move your hips, you can move your shoulders, you can move your head. So just kind of get to know yourself. Travel through your body and say hello to the sensations that you're feeling. All right, and then root through the hands. Feel that sense of yielding. So we drop into the earth and then we rebound from the earth. So we yield and then push off our hands to reach through our spine. Bend your knees as much as your body needs to have that sense of balance across your pelvis where we're nice and neutral in our lumbar spine instead of rounded in our lumbar spine. Relax your head and your jaw. Remember the muscles of your face to keep them in a blank slate to ease all the ways that we hold tension. All right, and then walk your feet forward and come into Uttanasana Fold. Bend your knees a lot or a little, whatever makes it easy and gentle for your spine. So we want our pelvis to kind of have a spill toward the front, an anterior tilt, so the sit bones can lift, even if their knees, or especially if the knees are really bent. Relax your head again, melt your skull. Bobble your head around if it feels nice. Inhale for a halfway lift. I like to use blocks. Maybe you like to put your hands on your legs, whatever feels nice. Spread out the bone. We're going to be here for a few breaths. Spread out the bones of your feet. See if you can feel the rooting of your bones and the rising of your arches. Get to know the earth underneath your feet. Maybe feel into the texture of your mat. Are you on a wood floor or carpet? Just sense into what's there below you. And now, because we're higher, maybe your legs are straight, but still lift and widen the sit bones and take the heads of the thigh bones back. Be mindful to not hyperextend your knees. So a little bend in the knee, just a slight little micro bend. Relax your neck. And then exhale. Release back down. Drop your hip. Bend your knees. Drop your hips low. Lift your spine up. Rise to the sky. Okay, so the arms are lifting. Reaching the arms up. Open your chest to the day. Open your heart to the day. Lift your heart to the sky. Offer. Just get into the lightness, the brightness of the day. Okay. All right, and then let's cactus the arms. Stretch your shoulder blades a bit toward each other maybe. And then exhale and round your forearms toward each other. Chuck your chin. One more time. Maybe you don't like cactus arms and you'd rather just have your arms open. All is well, whichever. Forearms come to touch, tuck chin. Reach the arms up to the sky. Grab onto the left wrist with the right hand and feel that deep, long extension here. Remember the bones of your feet. Root them down, arches rise. How's the breath? Can you touch against those ribs again? Come back to center, reach onto the other wrist. Be mindful that you're not just tugging at your shoulder joint. Feel that the pull on your wrist is coming from the bottom rib cage, that you're lifting from the bottom ribs to the wrist and from the bottom ribs down to your foot. All right, all the way back up again. Cactus the arms if it feels good, and then release. Shake out the hands. Everybody's doing too much with their hands these days. Give them a good shake. Find your breath. And then pause here in Tadasana for a moment. Feel maybe the fingers, hands tingling a little bit. Soften the knees. Yield into the earth. Can you find that sense that you're dropping and then pushing a little bit to rise through your spine? Come back to the sensation of your breathing. Are you able to soften your diaphragm into a lot of mobility? Do you tend to get stuck a little bit in your diaphragm? Do you tend to breathe up high in your chest and neck and shoulders? See what you can do to release the guards on your diaphragm. All right, take a deep breath in, arms coming up, and then a big swan dive. Bend your knees, relax. Sway your head around, sway your hips around. Inhale for a halfway lift. The spine is growing, the legs are straightening. Exhale and melt back down. Let's take our left foot back and our right foot forward, finding a lunge on this side. I like blocks under my hands. Maybe you like to put your hands on the floor. If your hands are on high blocks like mine are, be very mindful that they're wobbly. Okay, so maybe it's a little safer for you to lower them down or flatten them. So just do what's right for you. Find your breath as you move. So let's straighten the front leg a little bit, tuck the chin toward the chest, and then bend the front knee. Just feel the balance point between opening the hip flexors a bit on the back leg, the hamstring on the front leg. Be mindful to not go too far. So we're just warming up here. We're just getting our muscles to enliven, get some blood flow, awaken to our awareness. Find that metronome rhythm of your breathing. Try to stay inside the breath through your practice. Let it be the music that you're listening to. All right, ground your feet. So stay in your lunge, but before you rise up, ground. Feel the yielding down and then rise up. Bring your arms anywhere today is best. So some days, maybe it's best to have your hands just dangling. Maybe some days it's best to have them up here. So wherever today holds for you, find the deep extension through your spine. Open up your ribs for good breaths. Enjoy. Maybe you want to look up, check your balance a little bit, or awaken your balance a little bit. And then release the hands. Back foot comes forward, fold. Bend your knees, relax your skull. Halfway lift again. The spine gets really long. Enjoy the hamstrings opening, the feet opening. Exhale and melt. Come back down. Take your left foot forward, your right foot back, finding a lunge on this side. All right, open the chest. And when you're ready, start to move. So straightening the front leg some. You don't have to go very far. Check in with your spine and make sure you're not compensating tight hamstrings with a nice, you want to have a neutral spine. You don't want to have a super rounded spine. So if your hamstrings kind of stop you, then that's where you stop. How's your breath? Does it feel good just to be in your body? So let go of the expectations. Just be here now. Drop some weight into the feet. Feel that yielding in the lunge so you have the ground below you, and then rise up. Place your arms wherever you want. What serves your breath the best today? See if you can sense that whatever position you're choosing with your arms, that the breath is served, that you have that capacity to open and become a little bit more free. Root into the feet, the big toe mound finds the floor. And then release the hands down, dog pose. Stretch back through your spine. Be very mindful while you're here. It's not just a transition to go somewhere. We're here. So yield into hands and feet. Lift through your spine. Relax your neck. Find that metronome breath here. What does the breath sound like? What does the breath feel like? Relax the neck and shoulders. All right, come forward into a plank, holding yourself steady. Hug toward the midline a little bit with your hands so that you're activating a lot of muscles. And then at the same time, bring your shoulder blades a little closer together on the back. So we're balancing the effort of the front and the back body. Breathing well. Imagine a block between your thighs. Give a good squeeze to the midline. You can always put your knees down at any time. All right, let's all put our knees down and slowly lower yourself to the floor, bending your elbows. Before you rise up to a cobra pose, roll your shoulders a few times. Shoulders up toward your ears, up toward the sky, and back down. Have that sense of mobility here. Inhale and rise up to cobra pose. So open the chest. Breathe here. Let's stay here. Keep breathing. Elbows are down toward the ground and back. Stabilize your legs. Open across your collarbones. And then melt and find the floor. Come up onto your hands and your knees. Have a moment to just move your spine around. Maybe swish your tail, kind of act like a fish, kind of moving side to side. Maybe you want to circle your hips, whatever feels good. Finding the breath. I'm going to stretch back towards child's pose. See what it feels like to drop some weight. Feel the breath move into the back of the body again. Going to do some work to kind of open up the space for breathing today. Take your forearms down onto the ground. If you want to hold a block between your hands, you can. Sometimes when we come into dolphin pose, we can splay our elbows out and internally rotate our shoulders. So if that happens to you, putting your palms facing each other with a block or a block and a half can help you integrate into a little bit more stability in your shoulders. So see what feels good. My shoulders are kind of wide, so I'm going to use 1.5 blocks. And then I'm going to rise up. So lift your hips to the sky, lift your shoulders up, lift your spine up. See if you can just find the upward movement and then ground into your forearms. Relax your neck. Breathe. This is a lot of strong work with your serratus muscles on the side of your body. So find the work there. See if you can hug a bit toward the midline with your arms. Scrubbing the floor so it's just an isometric. And then release and come back down. Child's pose. Relax your arms down at your sides. Just notice what awoke in that posture. Find the breath. Inhale, come up onto your shins. Lift your arms to the sky. And then exhale. Drop back in. Good squeeze in the hips and the knees. One more time. Rising up. Exhale. Lowering back down. Come into a lunge with your right foot forward. Lift the back knee up off the floor. Find your breath. All right, and we're going to rise all the way up and turn and open up to the side. So Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. Remember, your pose can be nice and shallow, or your pose can be very deep. Anywhere along the pathway is good. The goal is to feel good in your body. The goal is not to have depth. So we want to find stability and ease and balance. We want to find breath. These are the things that are way more important than, having the deepest pose you can. Ground into your feet. Feel the roots of your feet. Lift the arches. Let the back hip turn a little bit toward your front knee until you feel the backside of your sacrum feel at ease. See if you can line up the front heel, the knee, and the sit bone of that front leg all on one line. Stretch your arms out maybe. Maybe you can bend your elbows and platter your arms open. This is a nice position for your shoulders. Find the breath. Okay, reach. Bring that right arm up in the air. Feel the side body stretch. And then find your way into Parsva Uttanasana. Focus on the way your torso feels. Can you feel the expansion in both sides of your rib cage as you awaken into this posture? The more you can ground through your back heel, the more you have that sense of being able to reach through the side body. Make sure your shoulder's in a happy place. Maybe flip your palm to face the wall behind you. Maybe your arm has to be up in the air instead of overhead for your shoulder to feel happy. You can even platter the arm like we just did in Vira 2. Okay. Rise up, turn your feet to the long edge of your mat, and we're just going to repeat the same 2 poses, or 3 poses on this side. So you can move a little bit. If you know you have a hip or a knee that really is a little vulnerable and you need to take some time, and always remember, if you have a knee that prevents you from going very far, if you kind of end up here because your knee starts to hurt, I know there's a couple of you in here, you can always put a block against a wall or a piece of furniture to press your shin against, and this will take a lot of the pressure off of your knee. It gets you a little deeper so that you can build a little strength in the muscles required for this pose without having to have so much of the weight bearing go into the knee joint. Find your breath. Where do you want your arms to be? Open across your chest. Relax your shoulders no matter where you put your arms. Track that knee in line with the middle toes. So your sit bone, your knee, and your ankle all on one plane like a slack line. Reach the arm up. So our left arm rises. Feel the chest open. Breathe into that side body. And then find your way into Parsvakonasana. Elbow on your knee. You can also put your hand on a block. Decide about this arm. Does it want to come up in the air? Does it need to be out a little bit further or down? Find the comfort for your joints. Drop weight into both feet. As you find the back foot, make sure you're not pushing into hyperextension with the knee. Have a little melting in the knee so you can yield your foot. And as you yield and push, feel the reach through your spine. Side bodies are broad and free. How's the breath? All right, come back up. Turn your feet to the long edge of your mat. Heel toe your feet in just a little bit more. Maybe, wider than hips for sure, but not as wide as a standing pose. And just come down to squat. Feel free to move some weight into one foot, move some weight into another foot. Your elbows can be on top of your knees or inside your knees. Spread out the bones of your feet. Open up the inner thighs. Chest is long and broad. All right, let's spin back to the front of your mat. Take that front foot back. Dog pose again. Enjoy the symmetry. See if you can feel a little inner spiral of your thighs. Widen your sit bones. Bend your knees as much as you want. Feel that sense of yielding with your hands and your feet into the earth. The rebound as you push. As you push, feel the lengthening, the reach through your spine. So yield always precedes the push. This will keep you grounded and connected. Feel your rib cage open up for breathing. Okay, we're going to drop your elbows down again. One more time for our dolphin pose. If you have your hands flat on the ground, notice if you're having a struggle to keep your upper arms externally rotated. If so, turn your palms to face each other or even up toward the sky. Shoulder blades are on the back, but you let them slide a little bit so you can lift the spine, lift the ribs. Breathing well. Let's inch our feet back, come into a forearm plank. Okay, so now start to practice. When you're in a really challenging pose, where is that repose? Where is the stretching out of the breath? Longer exhales if you can manage it. Integrate to the midline. Relax your neck. And then let's just lower our body down onto the ground. Walk the hands out a bit so they're in a wide cobra pose. Open your chest, extend through the spine, and then exhale and melt. Put your hands underneath your forehead for a moment and just feel your back body breathe. All right, we're gonna come up onto all fours. Move your spine around, feel some swishing, some swing, some rolling through your body as best as you can, whatever feels nice. Then we're gonna come up, turn to face on your shins, turn to face the long edge of your mat. You might need a block. We're gonna take our left leg straight down and open up your right foot out to the side. If your toes have a hard time reaching the floor because of extension issues with your ankle, you can always put a block underneath your toes to hold yourself in place here. Your hip wants to just kind of stick out to the side, so let's hug it in. Drop your shin into the earth, yield it down. Reach that arm up in the air if your shoulder's happy. If your shoulder isn't happy, take a different vector of movement. Take a breath and open your body to gate pose. Relax the shoulders and neck. Feel the side body expand and breathe into it. Press your shin. Drop the tailbone. And then come back up. Knee comes back in. Rest, child's pose. Arms coming back next to you. Relax your back. And then come on up to this side. So if you need a block underneath your foot, use a block. Try not to stick your hip out. See if you can keep that line where we're strong through the center body. Press your shin into the floor. This left leg, if you tend to hyperextend your knee a lot, if it kind of falls, especially don't bear weight. You know, we're not trying to lean our weight down. Sometimes it can be helped. If you tend to do that, you can take a block and kind of shove it underneath your underneath your calf, and lift your toes up. And that will keep your knee from hyperextending if you struggle with that. Okay, so try to do it without the block if you can, so that you get the internal strength to not just lean and hang in your joints. Reach your arm up, extend over to the side. Collarbones are broad. Open the breath up. Feel that side body expansion. Tailbone descends, shin descends into the earth. Okay, and then relax. Bring your leg back. One more time, child's pose. Arms down at your sides. Let your back neutralize. Pause and breathe all the way to your sacrum. And then bringing this a little bit deeper now. So we're going to keep our shin on the floor and our legs going to be out, but we're going to come into Vasisthasana. You can have your hand on the ground. You can have your hand on the block. If you're going to choose a block, try not to be on the middle or high side. Be on the low side. And if you need more height, stack 2 blocks. This is a much sturdier place for your body to be than on a wobbly block. So whatever you need. And then inhale and reach the arm up in the air. Shoulder blades down the back. Reach into your foot on the ground. So reach the weight, ground. Press your shin into the earth. And then swing your arm in front of you, across your chest, across your face, and reach it up overhead. Feel the full line of your side body open. Ground through your foot, ground through your shin. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. Find a deep breath. And then exhale. Come back onto 2 knees. Child's pose again. Okay. Notice where you feel the stretch rebound. You know, where did the rubber band just get stretched out and is coming back? Is it in your low back? Is it in your rib cage? You know, where's the epicenter of your stretch? And then let's come to the second side. So remember, flat blocks if you're using blocks. Find your breath. Breathe well. And then first just start with your hands straight up, just so you can feel the longness of your body start. And then swing your arm in front of you, graze your face, and reach that arm overhead. Connect from your heel to your hand. Find the fullness of this posture. So notice, where do you feel this stretch? For some people, it's in the shoulder. So others, it's in the ribs, some in the low back or hip. Where's your breath? Relax your neck and shoulders. That arm that you're leaning on, drop the shoulder blade down the back and support your ribs with your shoulder blade. Unlock your elbow. Okay, and then release and come back to child's pose. Every time we return, we keep coming home to child's pose, which isn't always so typical in your yoga practice. Feel into the body. Try to create the breath traveling, especially if you have heightened awareness in your low back now. See if you can bring the breath traveling. Puff out the kidneys, puff out the lumbar spine and all the space around it. Puff under your sacrum. See if you can get the breath like a hot air balloon under your sacrum. All right, great. Let's go ahead and come up to stand. Okay, Uttanasana. Find the breathing. Okay, lift your arms to the sky. Open the chest up. Cactus open the arms if it feels nice to do so. That sense of symmetry again. And then relax your arms. Root your right foot. We're going to come into tree pose. So left foot comes onto right leg anywhere you want. The toes can be right down on the floor. You can have your foot lower. So it doesn't matter where along the pathway you are. Try not to drive your heel into your knee. If you need to hold on to a wall or a piece of furniture, have that available nearby you. So move in to get that support. Soften the knee you're standing on. Root to rise. Feel the yielding and rise up. Find the breath. Now see what it feels like to just open the heart a little bit more. Not so much that you're tipping into a deep back bend, but just that sense that your heart is open and free. Place your arms to support that. All right, and then release your hands. Can't go yoga practice without a little bit of balance to help us out. Okay, so switch sides. If you need support, take support. Put your arms anywhere that supports you. So this might be a day where you really need your hands close to your heart. Maybe it's a day where you're really open and leaning back. So wherever you are, open the chest, expand, lift the heart to the sky, stay free, stay open, soften the knee, try not to hyperextend. Keep the hip hugging in, stay with your breath. And then release your foot down onto the ground. Arms up. Exhale, bend your knees, relax. Shake your tail. Find your breath. And then we're going to come down onto our feet. Let's go ahead and take a blanket and open it up to a long fold. Then we're going to roll it to a round bolster. So coming onto that bolster, between your shoulder blades, you can have either a block or another blanket under your head if you feel like you need that support. Okay, now before we, hang out in a back bend stretch, bring your hands together and just roll from side to side a little bit. Just kind of get used to having a roll underneath you. Breathing deeply. We're in the shoulder blades. We are not in the low back. No, we're nowhere near the low back. And then when you're ready, maybe your arms feel comfortable stretching overhead. Maybe you'd rather have your cactus arms or your arms out to your side. Maybe none of those feel very good on your shoulders and you want to bring your hands to your heart, or you can cross your elbows so that the hands hug the outer shoulders. So just be where you want to be. There's so many different positions for your arms to take you into a little bit of opening in the breath. Knees are bent, feet are on the floor, so nice neutral low back. Let all those side bending things kind of, a lot of times our low back can feel a lot of response to a deep side bend. There's those deep muscles, your quadratus lumborum in your low back. So let's just let them soften. And instead, just let the body, the upper chest, the upper spine be what's opening here. And then relax your arms, put your hands on your chest for a moment, and then rock just a little bit so that you're bringing the blanket just a little bit lower. So now we're kind of on the bottom tips of the shoulders. And then for a moment, just kind of move from side to side, kind of, rolling across your rib cage. You can kind of even come onto your side, whatever feels nice, just a little self-massage. And then once you get comfortable with this new place, decide where your arms want to be here. So this can often get a little bit more into our diaphragm. So notice if if you have any discomfort, see if you can breathe your way into ease, relax your neck, take support under your head if you need it. Focus on the full 360 of your rib cage and breathe deeply. Okay, bring your arms back and we're going to keep moving, or you can pick up your pelvis and move the blanket instead. So whatever way you're doing, get the blanket underneath your pelvis. We're skipping the rest of your spine and going right to your sacrum. So now, same thing, feel free to rock just a little bit, get used to having a bolster underneath your pelvis. And then we're going to stretch our legs straight. Now, this may not feel comfortable for everybody. So if this isn't comfortable for you, bend one knee and just do one leg at a time. So heel is down on the ground, legs straight. And if you're doing two, then feel into the openness across your pelvis. You can take your legs a little wider apart if you want. Just see what feels good. Breathe into the pelvic bowl. See if you can switch legs now. If you were doing one leg, do the other. If at any point you've had enough, you just bring your knees to your chest. Maybe this last breath or two, we can stretch our arms over our head. Breathe deeply. And then when you're ready, readjust where that blanket is. Bring your knees to the chest and just rock to soothe your sacrum, your sacroiliac joint, your lumbar spine. Okay, get the blanket out of there. A simple twist to each side. So lift your hips up, go to the right with your hips, knees come up, drop them left. Enjoy the openness in your ribs. Turn your head to the right if you can. Deep breaths here. Okay, come back to center. Feet are on the floor, neutral spine. Pause in your neutral spine. Breathe into your neutral spine. And then when you're ready, bring your hips over to the left. Knees come a little closer to your chest and drop to the right. Enjoy. Turn your head if it feels comfortable to do so. Where is your breath unraveling into now? Feel the uniqueness of breathing and twisting. It's such a unique sensation in the body. All right, and then relax. Come into neutral one more time. We're going to cross the right thigh over the left thigh and drawing your knees to your chest. If you'd prefer to do reverse pigeon pose, by all means. Relax your neck and shoulders. Just find some ease. Your head is heavy. Let it drop down. Okay, and then we're going to unwind the legs. Starfish your whole body out. Take a deep breath. Exhale, left thigh over right thigh. Draw the knees in or come into reverse pigeon pose. Try not to round and collapse the chest. We just did a whole bunch to open our chest. See what it feels like to keep your head resting down, your shoulders soft. So if you need a strap to wrap around your legs or any support you need to not have this hunching of neck and shoulders, take whatever precautions you need to keep the long, steady spine, the open chest, the relaxed head and shoulders. All right, stretch your limbs. Out wide you go. Rest here. We're not in Shavasana yet. We're going to sit up and do a little breath work, but just rest into the body for a moment. Just feel the subtlety of how your practice, this beautiful practice that we have. There's so much variety in yoga. There's so many opportunities to come into presence with yourself. Enjoy how you feel right now. How is the state of your mind, the state of your breath, the state of your body? Are you relaxed a little bit more than you were? Okay, let's go ahead and roll over onto our side. Now, even if you typically sit on the floor with no support, I encourage you to get up on the edge of some support. Blankets, a bolster, if you must on a block. Maybe you like sitting on a block, but block's not my favorite, but maybe it's your favorite. Okay, so whatever is comfortable for you, we're gonna come up to sit cross-legged. Now, I broke my foot a couple of months ago or 3 months ago, so I'm still kind of repairing. So sitting cross-legged for me isn't so comfortable sometimes. So I need to kind of have extra support to make sure my ankle is in a good place, my foot's in a good place. So you just do you. If you need to kind of take some extra support underneath your knees, you can also have a block between your shoulder blades against a wall. There's so many ways to support your body. Okay, let's find a comfortable seat. And try to get it so that your knees are in line with your hips or a little lower. So if you feel like they're way up high, good reason to get higher with support under your pelvis. All right, so let's find a sense of coming back into that state of ease. Relax your shoulders. Feel a sense of broadness across your collarbones. Any support, as you're sitting here, if you need to adjust something, adjust whatever it is you need. Okay, we're just going to begin by stretching out the exhales just a little longer. So perhaps you're a counter, where you like to inhale and count. Maybe that distracts you or irritates you and you don't want to put numbers in your head. Just sense in whatever way works for you that your exhale is longer than your inhale. So if you are an internal counter, see what the natural count is on the metronome for your inhale and try to make your exhale 2 beats longer. So it doesn't have to be twice as long or anything. Just stretch the exhales out. Try not to gulp the last bit of air, kind of like topping off the tank with your gas. Try not to top the tank of your breath. When your breath feels complete, when your inhale feels complete, have that little pause and then begin the exhale. If you have tolerance for this, also try to widen the space between the exhale and the inhale. So the pause before we return to an inhale, not only stretch the exhale 2 beats longer, but see if you can add 2 beats in that pause. Everybody's different in their tolerance. So try not to be, don't create stress in your body. This is to build resiliency, not stress. But you want to push yourself just a little bit. You want to have just the slightest hint of breath hunger. Don't starve for breath, but be hungry for breath. How you can tell is if when you inhale, you have this giant, quick gulp of air, then probably you've extended the exhale and the pause a little too long for right now. The neck and shoulders remain easy. The face is in that blank slate. The palms, whether they're up or down, are relaxed. A sense of freedom through your rib cage. The subtlety of your core engagement as you slowly exhale. To slightly change this up. So this next exercise will strengthen your diaphragm to be able to have that eccentric contract. The exhale, we want our diaphragm to slowly return back up instead of just this fast rebound. And the inhale too. So this will strengthen that capacity in your diaphragm. So it's not alternate nostril breathing. We're taking our thumb on our right, the top of your nostril, not the tip of your nostril, and your ring finger on the top of the left. Some people like their middle finger. Traditionally, it's the ring finger. You're going to close off both nostrils about 20%, 30%, no more than 50%. So that you're breathing through both sides of your nose. Both in and out, we keep that compression there. So we're just blocking off a little bit of our capacity, which makes our diaphragm have to work a little harder to pull the breath in. So if you do a round of breath and you're like, ooh, that was a little too much for us, then just open up your nostrils a little bit more. Also be mindful that you're not contorted. Usually we do this with our right hand. So are you kind of pulling your head off to the right or turning to the right, or is your right shoulder all jacked up? Do you have more pressure unconsciously on one nostril than the other? See if you can balance all of these things out. Nice and gentle. The brain is resting in the skull. A little tiny tip forward of your head, just a little bit. The torso is still super free, spacious. Only the teeniest bit of breath hunger. Don't be breath starving. Notice that your pace has probably naturally slowed down. Be comfortably uncomfortable or uncomfortably comfortable. I'm not sure which one is the more optimistic statement. But just be comfortable within the slight, subtle discomfort of altering your breath. And then when you're ready, pause that. Just feel into the beauty of easy, big breathing. Allow your sinuses, all the chambers, these cathedrals of your sinuses are free. Swirl air through your turbinates. Feel the ease of breath. find our way to Shavasana. So as you lay down, if you need to bring your knees to your chest for a hug or a happy baby to kind of nourish your low back, by all means. If you would like some support underneath your legs or head, but whatever you need for Shavasana, however is your best favorite way of resting. And as you come into this posture, remember our goal here is to keep ourselves relaxed, to be able to be comfortable in silence, to be able to be comfortable creating those pauses, to have the time to sense our reactions and let the wave move through us so that we can come into a state of grace in responding instead of reacting. So as you fall into the deep places of Shavasana, let the nourishment of this restful state feed this capacity within you. Check in with your body and make sure you're very comfortable. Take any support you need. Beautiful open belly and ribs. Rest the head and the spine. Feel the weight, the yielding of your bones. This beautiful blank slate in your face. Let's begin to deepen our breathing. Stay put, don't move yet, and just Become conscious of the ease of your breath, the ease of your body. Imprint, let your body, the whole body just drop and feel the imprint of that ease. See if you can take that with you this week, this sense of being able to surrender into ease. Find some movement now. Eventually finding your way onto your side. Take your time, there's no rush. Come up to sit as you're ready. Let's bring our hands together at our heart. Let's offer the grace of our practice. Share your energy with someone. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful week.